We're probably live. So if anybody's on already, just waiting until we hear or hit the official start time. All right. So, look, I'm going to kick off at 7:30 because obviously people will come and go throughout the evening. It's only for an hour. And if you're joining on the live stream day, great, fantastic. If you're watching this as a recording afterwards, sorry you couldn't make it on the night, but hopefully you get something out of this as well. And really tonight is to hear from the community, find out what your questions are. Perhaps your questions will help somebody else with a question as well, that they're thinking about either installing PIXIE as an electrician, or maybe they're a homeowner that's looking at installing PIXIE and you've got them to come on with you if you're the electrician, or maybe you are the homeowner yourself and you've got some questions. That's what this area is for. What we've prepared, just in case no one turns up or there's a very small number, we're obviously going to deliver some content and answer the questions that are available, but we've decided to provide a presentation on the new PIXIE program mode, which will take about 45 minutes. It is kind of a PowerPoint style presentation, but we'll try and make it interesting and we'll try and deliver some real value there in that content if there's no other questions that come up throughout the evening. So we'll kick off. It's going to be about 60 minutes. And I'm going to launch into the presentation unless somebody has specific questions to kick off with, and I might just move myself to the side a bit and we might get rid of some of these things top and bottom, and might go to picture mode. So I'm down the bottom. You can see here we've also got a little touchpad down the bottom, or sorry, an iPad down the bottom, so that if somebody has some questions, we can control this directly and show people how things work. So that's all ready and set to go as well on a separate camera. So we've got multiple cameras running here. And what I might do is just kick off into this slideshow about the new PIXIE program mode then, while we're waiting for some other people to come on board. And if there's any other questions, if you've got any questions, just type them into the chat on whether it's YouTube or Facebook, depending on where you're watching this, or if you're watching it as a recorded and we didn't answer your question throughout the 60 minutes, then please put your questions in the comments below, because this will just be posted up onto our YouTube channel as standard afterwards. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any questions coming in right now. So what I might do is I might just kick off into this presentation, and then hopefully there's some good information here. I'll get rid of some of this stuff top and bottom so we don't have to look at that and it won't block their screen. So before we jump into PROGRAMode, you should probably know that we have actually launched the Mitsubishi Electric integration with PIXIE. So it's Mitsubishi Electric, importantly not Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and it provides essentially all the capabilities that you would get from the Mitsubishi Electric mobile app inside the PIXIE system, as well as the ability to integrate all those different components, whether it's a split system or a ducted system, with the PIXIE system as well. So scheduling and scene control and doing multiple things. Part of this program mode presentation that we'll do today, you'll actually see some examples of how you can use the Mitsubishi Electric system within those program modes as well. So it's pretty tightly integrated. For this to work though, you do need to have obviously Mitsubishi Electric air conditioning system, and you do have to have this little Wi-Fi module. They vary in price. They're like $200, $220, something like that. This is 2023, it's August, so that's the price point at this time. So if you're watching it later, maybe that price has changed. But if you've got your phone out with you now and you want to see what that is, you can scan that QR code or take you through to the web page, and you can maybe bookmark that or save that for later. You can have a look at that for later. All right, so the programming mode, it's relatively new. You do need Gen 3 gateway and you do need PIXIE Plus for this to work. And the best way to describe it is conditional logic programs that really elevate PIXIE's automation's capabilities. Okay, and you can see there on the screen, there's a bunch of different things that I've got. I might just make this full screen if I can figure out how to do that. Maybe something like this. Here we go. So move it out the way. So importantly, there's no internet needed. As long as you've got the gateway there, the gateway will run all of the programs. It doesn't depend on any outside systems, meaning you don't have to depend on voice assistants, which depends on the internet, for example, which is, I guess, how PIXIE's done a lot of that kind of integration up till now. And that, of course, still continues to work as it did before, no problem. It does allow us to integrate with other systems, though, inside the home directly. And it allows us to deliver more sophisticated home automation capabilities or home automation scenarios that you may not have thought would be possible with PIXIE. And certainly six years ago when we started with the dimmer and the switch, thinking that PIXIE would now be able to do this kind of program capability is probably out of the reach of a lot of people. They thought it was just a very simple switch and dimmer, which it can be, but it now does a whole lot more as well. Importantly, if you're an electrician or you're a homeowner, you're really getting a whole lot more value for the same hardware. So it's delivering you a whole lot more home automation capability, but you're not paying any more for the hardware. As long as you've got the gateway, you're good to go. Just seeing if we've got any comments there. Just saw something pop up. No, we're all good. We'll keep moving. So why use it? Well, you don't have to use it. You're completely free to use it if you want to or not. It's not necessary. Unless you want to do some of the specific things that you want to do with a program. We'll get to some of that when we look at some of the examples. It's really starting to provide some of those, what we call those legacy lighting control or legacy home automation systems from 5, 10, 15 years ago, and the capability that those systems have. You can now do that within the PIXIE smart home solution as well. I've mentioned this before, but non-internet dependent automation. So this stuff runs in the home, which is great. And it can really then serve to increase the IQ of some of those other connected devices. So Mitsubishi Electric, Sonos, Hunter Pacific fans, those kind of integrations that are available with PIXIE, they can really now integrate them into a more completely integrated solution. So what's needed? Gen 3 gateway is a must. PIXIE Plus. One or more master devices, obviously, and you'll see why that's important in a moment. But most importantly, understanding what it is that you want to achieve with these program modes. Because if you've been using PIXIE already, you're an electrician, you've been using PIXIE already, and you've been delivering it for customers, and the customers are happy with that solution, then maybe you don't need to consider it at all. But maybe they did ask you something. Hey, can I do this? Can I do that? What if I wanted to integrate with this thing? What if I wanted, this thing to happen at a particular time of day or night? Well, now you can answer probably yes with PIXIE, depending on what it is, but there's a whole lot more capability now with the PIXIE Plus program mode. So should be able to expand what you can deliver for your customers or deliver for you as a homeowner with the same hardware. It works with all PIXIE master devices, Gen 1 to Gen 3. So if you've got an older home that's got Generation 1 in there, or you've got a home that's got a combination of Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 products, hey, no problem. It'll work with all of that stuff. And it'll also work devices interconnected to PIXIE, whether that's through a low-level dry contact, through the blind and signal controller and the translator device, or through one of those integrated solutions we have with Sonos, Mitsubishi, Hunter Pacific ceiling fans, for example. So it's not just impacting or affecting the PIXIE devices, it's affecting the PIXIE connected devices as well. So what's possible? Well, this is kind of like one of those questions, how long is a piece of string? We'd really love to see what you guys come up with. Share it on the Facebook technical support group if you get a chance, or if you want to pop back here once this is a recording up on YouTube and have a look at what other people are contributing and contribute your own. That'd be fantastic. This kind of thing really depends on people installing and using it to think of things that we may not have thought of. We'll show you some examples today that are pretty simple, but some that are a little more complicated or sophisticated, depending on how you look at it. But there's a myriad of different ways that you can use this program mode, depending on what you're trying to achieve, either for yourself or for your customer. Okay, so there's essentially 3 must-haves for this. Look, I'll just stop for a moment. Got a question here from Antonio. Will it be possible to set a program mode with the AC control so if the temperature in the room hits below or above X percentage, it will automatically turn on your set temperature? That's an interesting question, and it's probably more related to what the air conditioning system would do by itself. So maybe I misunderstood that, Antonio. Maybe come back to me. I'll pop that one up there. That's what Antonio's questioning there. Perhaps I've misunderstood it, or maybe somebody else can maybe clarify it. But set a program mode with AC. So if the temperature in the room hits below X percent, you'll automatically turn on your set temperature. I actually think that's more of a function of the thermostat in the air conditioning system itself, Antonio. But hey, I think we're going to catch up in a week or two anyway, so maybe we can have a chat about it then. And then a question from David as well. Are you looking at MHI aircons in the future or just Mitsubishi Electric? So good question. So right now, obviously, Mitsubishi Electric for us is really the first place that we're starting. And we're starting with Mitsubishi Electric because we have an official API to work with. So this is an official integration done with an official API. Now, of course, us and many other people can go and create non-official APIs or non-official integrations, but we really wanted to start with an official integration just for peace of mind for everybody in the value chain. So hopefully, David, that answers your question, mate. Okay, back to the program mode. You got any more questions? Please keep them coming in. 3 parts of a program. When, so really a time, anytime, always, at a specific time, a time period, days and dates, date periods and specific dates. We'll go into each of these in a little bit more detail on some of the examples so you can see how they work. You need a trigger. So at this time, if the state is on or off of this device, then go and do something else, which is the action. But the trigger really tracks the on or off state of the master devices. And that's why you need at least one master device, because you need to be able to track the state of a master device. You'll see later when we do a little bit more sophisticated example, how the Mitsubishi air conditioning systems are actually represented in PIXIE as a master device. So that really gives us some extra power in there as well. So we have a when, we have a trigger, and then we have an action, which is the then take these actions. And that action can be on a device, a group, or a scene, or combinations of those things. So we'll get to that. Okay, so let's look at this stuff when in a little bit more detail, because there's a lot of flexibility here and there's a lot of different functions. So select the time when the program will work, essentially is what we're doing. And you can see in the example here, we've just got it selected as any time and repeating every day, Sunday to Sunday. So that's really how it comes as standard out of the box. If I go into the little program mode here on the iPad, which I'm assuming you guys can see because I can see it, and oh, maybe it's frozen, has it? That's not good. Looks like that may have frozen. So I'm just gonna kill that camera for a moment and restart it. So it won't be a second. The joys of live stream, I guess. Looks like it's definitely frozen, that camera. So we'll just add this back in. Just while we're waiting for that to go. So date range you can look at as well. So, you know, dates. So any dates that you choose, essentially. I'll just get this guy rolling again. That's taking a little bit of time to add in, so we'll just let it do its thing and it'll come back in a moment. So, there it is. Yeah, it certainly looks like it's frozen. So, technology, fun and games. So, I'm going to kill that camera again because it's not working. So the when time. We have the any dates and also specific date and time. So you can do between these dates on these days and what days. So you can repeat it or you can have it once only on a specific time. So in this example, Sunday and Monday from the 29th of the 8th and 31st of the 8th, once on the 29th is when this thing will happen, essentially. Whatever the actions are and whatever the triggers are that we're tracking for this program mode. Times, you can also set specific times. So you can probably get the feeling here that there's an awful lot you can do from really narrowing down and fine tuning when you want something specifically to happen for a program, which gives you a lot of power to really do things that you haven't been able to do before, or provide that really that actual smart home feeling, that feeling that the home is automating, is doing things automatically because perhaps you've forgotten what the times are that you've set, or you set them up for the customer and they can't remember what you set, and the things are just rolling every day and they're just living with it. So this is this real feel of home automation that you start to get. Okay. Next, we need to set up a trigger. So the way that we need to think about this is that we've got our time set when things are going to happen. Now we're going to figure out what we want to happen. In this case, Monday to Thursday, 10 until 6 is when we're going to have the thing happening. And then we're going to track the state of these master devices during this time period and or day period. Okay, so time period, date, time and date, and then we're going to track the state of these master devices. So the if trigger tracks the state of any master device, and importantly, if we go here, you can see the master device state can be affected by any device. It can be affected obviously by pressing a button on the wall, by using the app. It can be affected by a scene. It can be affected by a schedule. It can be affected by voice control. All of those things will impact the master devices, and therefore when you're creating these programs you need to remember what else you have going on in the home, because if you're tracking the state and you're asking for something to change when the state of the device changes, and it's good to know what else is happening so that things don't randomly start turning on and off and the customer thinks that hey, maybe something's gone wrong with the system or it's not working right. Okay, so in this case we've got a trigger on a smart power point. And a smart power point has two sockets that can be tracked independently. And you can choose whether or not you want to track each of those sockets or you just want to track one of them. In this case, we've got the little blue tick box next to each of those. So that means that both of those are going to be tracked as part of this program specifically. Okay. Obviously, something like a dual relay controller, smart GPO, and a smart plug, they all have sort of two things that you can track. Okay, blind single control is a little bit different, and to be honest, PROGRAMode's pretty new. I haven't tried it with the blind and signal controller, so I can't tell you how it works. I don't have one here tonight to plug in, unfortunately, so we can test it. Okay, if any of the guys out there watching have tried this, then let me know, and I'm happy to share it with the group tonight. But maybe we'll come back and when we put the recording up on YouTube, we'll put some extra answers and show notes as to whether or not the blind and signal controller allows you to track the state of each of the relays. Okay, so we set that one up. So Monday to Thursday, 6, if the status of the desk 2 GPO, channel 1 and channel 2 are both off, then do something. But you can actually add more than one thing to track. So in this case, we're going to add a PIXIE smart plug, which is what I've got here is a PIXIE smart plug. So PIXIE plug has two things as well. It's obviously got the main socket and it's got the little USB plug-in option, which is also a trackable object. In this case, you can see I've just got the little blue arrow next to the socket. So that's the only thing we're tracking. And importantly, you can see then next to it that these are creating what's called AND statements. So an AND statement, we'll go to the next page and kind of explain it a bit better for you. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 6, if the status of the Desk 2 GPO channel 1 and channel 2 are both off, and if the status of the PIXAR light, which is the smart socket, only, because it doesn't include the USB, is off, then do something. So for this program to operate, it must be this time period and day period. And both of these things, so both of these states on the master devices must be true before this program will execute. Okay. You can actually do up to 5 if statements, I believe. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. We'll just put that on full page here. Yep. So up to 5 if statements can be tracked. So up to 5 different things or combinations of things have to be true for this program. Could be true for this thing to have to operate. Okay. Go to the next one there. All right. So we've got our when. We've got the triggers that we're looking for. And the final thing then is the action. What action do we want to take? So if all the triggers are true, when defined, so during the time period, then do this action in the PIXIE ecosystem. Okay. And this action can be to control a device, control a group, or to activate a scene, or a combination of those things. Okay. So let's show you how that works. So in this case, we've added a LED strip kit to the actually, this is not an LED strip kit. This is in my home. This is actually an LT8915 DIMM BT, the LED strip controller. And my action that I'm asking for is that this dimmer will turn on to 100% when those other things are true and those triggers are correct. So I want to activate the lounge TV strip. I'm also going to add in, I've got some RGB strips. So I'm also adding in the RGB strips, the group of RGB strips, and I'm turning it on to a mode, which in this case is flash mode at 100% and full speed. Okay, so I added on this page, I added my lounge TV LED strip, which is behind the TV cabinet for me and lights up behind my TV. This is my RGB strips in the office, which is where I'm sitting now. I'm not going to activate it now because it will go crazy, but you can see what would happen. It will turn on all of my RGB strips and it would flash them on and off at the high speed at the maximum intensity. And you can see here, we've also added 5600 max, which is a scene that I have for the new PIXIE LED strip kits, which have the ability to color tune from 2700 to 6500. And this is 5600. Turn on my LED strip kits to 5600 at maximum output. And all of these 3 things will happen when those triggers that we set are true for the time periods that we define them for. Okay, so the time, the triggers, and what's going to happen. Now you can actually set 10 or more actions to occur when those triggers are true. So there's a lot of flexibility that you can do here across devices, groups, and scenes. So there's a lot of stuff to do there. It's a good question there. It's just come from Luke. Is it possible to add delays between actions? You know what? Right now it is not possible to do that, but because programs can essentially change the state of any master device, it's possible for a program to change or activate another program, and something like the PIXIE blind and signal controller does have the ability to create what we call combos. In those combos, you can create delays, and so you could essentially say, when all of this stuff happens, turn on these lights, and then activate the combo mode, which has a delay for a period of time, and then close one of the relays, which activates something else in the system, which activates the other devices that you're trying to operate. So it's not exactly what you want. So you can't, for example, maybe you wanted the lights outside to come on, and then 5 seconds later, the next set of lights to come on, and then 5 seconds later, the next set of lights to come on, or going upstairs or something like that. So right now it doesn't have delays, but it's a good comment. I think we'll pass that one on to the engineers and see if there's something that we can do with respects to adding delays into the system. No promises. We'll put it into the engineers and see what they say, but it certainly has merit. And thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Okay. So this is the program that we've created. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 6. If the status of the Desk 2 GPIO channel 1 and channel 2 are both off, and if the status of the Pixar light socket only is off, then turn the lounge TV strip to 100% and the RGB LED strip group to 100% intensity, flash mode fast, and recall scene 5600. So obviously PIXIE manages the pace at which those things go out so that the network doesn't get flooded and all those messages get delivered in the appropriate time. And perhaps that's why Luke was asking that question as well, was about, making sure that messages were actually going to be received and sent out in there. But the way that the PIXIE system's been developed is we're providing enough time between those messages to make sure those messages get onto the system and get delivered. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at some examples. Obviously, that's a made-up thing that I did for this presentation today, but let's have a look at some potential real scenarios where it can be really, really useful. So let's say we've got a long hallway in a home. We've got a PIXIE, one of the new PIXIE PIR sensors in that new home, and we've also got a PIXIE dimmer in that hallway. And let's say that the people are sick of being blinded at night when they get up in the middle of the night and the sensor turns on and all the lights turn on. So this way we can have a sensor controlling a dimmer, because the sensor is not actually controlling the load directly. It's simply sending out a signal that its signal is being tracked, i.e. its state is being tracked. Is it on or off by the program? But the relay is not connected to anything, and the relays in the sensors don't have any minimum load, so they will turn on and off without an issue. Okay. So when, let's say it's between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., Monday to Friday, if the hallway sensor is on, then turn the hallway dimmer to 10%. So that's a really simple way to control the dimmer and make sure you don't get blinded. Of course, the sensor will ultimately turn itself off because it's running its own timeout functionality within the sensor itself. The program's not doing that, the sensor's doing that itself, and it will turn off. So it's probably a good idea to set up a program that also tracks the off state of that same sensor during the same time period. And you can see there, I've got a little mistake. It should actually say off there when the hallway sensor is off, not on. So that's an error on my end. But then fade the hallway dimmer to off over 10 seconds. If you're using a PIXIE Gen 3 dimmer, then you have the ability to put in fade rates when you recall a scene or when you do a schedule. So that could be recalling a scene and fading it over a period of time. So a really simple way to do a time-based sensor control for a dimmer in the PIXIE environment, and something really useful day to day that you could deploy in people's homes or you could put in your own home very easily every day. So that's one example. Samsung SmartThings. Now, I'm not sure how many people out there are using Samsung SmartThings or have it. We know a lot of Android users do tend to like Samsung SmartThings with PIXIE specifically. And one of the issues with Samsung SmartThings and PIXIE is that the SmartThings doesn't allow you to work with the scenes that you create in PIXIE. Of course, it's then a problem for your blind control, because essentially the way that you would activate blind control is by activating scenes. Okay, so if you've currently got SmartThings, you can't really control blinds in the PIXIE environment in a simple way. But the program mode eliminates this restraint through a little bit of trickery, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's picture that we've got our home. We're controlling it from our Samsung SmartThings day to day, and we want to have blind control. Now, let's also say that I've got a PIXIE Smart GPO. You can essentially track the state of each of those on and offs of each of those set sockets independently. And when those states are activated, say through Samsung SmartThings, turn on, turn off, that will in turn, through your program mode, kick off the open or close command for your blinds. Okay, might just make that full screen. Maybe that mode is better, or this one's probably best. There we go. So anytime is the when statement, just to make it easy. If the Smart GPO socket 1 is on, so we're tracking just one of the socket is on, then recall the open kitchen blind scene. Likewise, if that socket is off in a separate program, they can't do this in the same program, it would be a separate program, is off, then close the kitchen blinds. So that way you could have a button on your Samsung SmartThings app, which is essentially controlling a PIXIE PowerPoint, but that PowerPoint is then being tracked by the program, which is then firing off the scene to control the blinds. So it does eliminate that issue. There's a few little hoops to jump through, but it's certainly one way to get around that limitation with Samsung SmartThings that doesn't allow you to use scenes, and therefore doesn't allow you to easily control blinds in the PIXIE system. So a nice little example there on how to think about the connected systems and the other voice commands or voice assistants that are available, and what you might be able to do with them by tracking things and having things occur when the state changes because of routines in those environments as well. And Tony just got a question there. Could you use this feature to operate a garage door or a gate as well? Yeah, of course we could. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it would work exactly the same way, because essentially it's the same device, and that device the issue is that device specifically isn't the right device type for Samsung SmartThings. It's an unknown device type. It's quite a unique device, and therefore it doesn't appear. And so you could do exactly the same thing. You could say open and close the front gate, open and close the garage door, just by tracking the state of a smart plug. You could even track the state of a smart plug USB socket if you wanted to. And when that state changed, you could do something. So you don't necessarily have to control the smart GPO, but it's certainly one way to do it as well. So that's a good question, Antonio, and yeah, absolutely you could do the same thing. So Mitsubishi Electric ducted systems and split systems. Okay, so we've touched on this a couple of times, but the program mode tracks the state of master devices, and the way that we've deployed the Mitsubishi Electric air conditioning solution into PIXIE, those devices or those systems that you add in, whether it's one or more ducted system, one or more split systems, or a ducted system, for example, we load them, find them, like you do any PIXIE master device. So once it's all set up in the Mitsubishi Electric system and the little Wi-Fi modules in place, essentially you scan and add, just like you scan and add any device, and it comes up as a PIXIE object. Okay, so that's actually a really cool way to do it. And actually on this screen here, you can see on the right hand side there, we've got the little icon there for the air conditioning, and it's got that familiar little blue bar, so you can just turn the power on and off to those devices there as you would. And of course, if you then click into that device, then you get some more capabilities, which we'll have a look at. But I'll give you two examples now of how you can use it with the Mitsubishi system, which will be handy for you. Okay, so on the right hand side is kind of a scenario that we've created here. So control of other systems based on the Mitsubishi Electric ducted status. Remember, we can only track the on or the off status of the ducted system of any master device, and that's how we're doing this programming. So the home has either or both motorized blinds and motorized windows. Okay, so pretty straightforward. We'll be using PIXIE blind and signal controllers for the motorized blinds and windows. And the when statement that I set up there is sophisticated. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day between the 1st of the 11th and the 31st of the 3rd. So during our hot months, if the ME ducted is on, then, and we'll just get rid of my face there, then recall these scenes, close the blinds and close all the windows. Okay, so really simple and straightforward. And maybe during summer you have the Mitsubishi Electric system on all the time, so it may not be as effective. But maybe you don't kick it off until, you don't schedule it to turn on until 10 a.m. in the morning or till 9 in the morning or whatever it might be. When it does kick on, it will also then send out a message to make sure the blinds are closed and close all the windows. Now, of course, I'm saying close all the blinds and close all the windows, but maybe just close them on the east side of the house in the early part of the day and the west side of the house in the afternoon. And you could do that then by changing the when times and then changing which scenes are being fired off based on the when time. So you can see, you can really start to weave these things together and create a whole range of different scenarios for different times and different days and different things to happen. So you're really expanding that capability of the system. Split system example. So obviously split systems, it could be multiple systems and they just get added into the PIXIE system as a master device. And in this case, we're assuming that we've got an office with a Mitsubishi Electric split system and we've got a PIXIE dimmer in the office. Okay. On the left-hand side, there is just what the interface looks like on an Android device in the PIXIE Plus app. Okay, so you've got all the controls and things that you would expect. But in this case, 6 p.m. till 11 p.m. Monday to Friday, so night time during the week, from the 1st to the 6th to the 31st of the 8th, so I guess the colder months if you like. If the office dimmer is on, so I'm in the office because the dimmer's on, the lights on, then turn on the office Mitsubishi Electric split system to auto mode, 28 degrees, fan speed low, in swing mode. So you can actually recall all of those specific things because it's a PIXIE master device, and all those little variables that you can change are seen as a PIXIE master device variable that you can then change and it gets sent off to the Mitsubishi Electric system. So anytime I'm in the office from 6 till 10 during winter, my Mitsubishi Electric system will just automatically kick on and keep me warm. All right, so that's pretty cool. You don't have to reach over and press the button on the remote control or get up and press it on the wall. You know that if you're in there, it'll just kick on, and then maybe you've got a schedule later to turn it off or something like that, or maybe run another program. If the dimmer's off after 11 o'clock, then turn the ME off. Super simple, right? And that'll take a couple of seconds to set up in the app. All right, so another example here for the Sonos. We'll get rid of that little PIXIE thing out the way. So obviously Sonos works with PIXIE, and we control the Sonos by connecting the Sonos app with the PIXIE Plus app, and then creating scenes to do all of the transport control, pause, fast forward, next track, previous track, volume up, volume down, all of that kind of stuff through the PIXIE and Sonos API. And obviously you queue up the audio then, whether it's music or podcasts, within the Sonos app. So you can connect it to your Spotify, you can connect it to your Apple Music, for example, whichever service you choose to use. And then you can make things happen. Now, obviously, previously we've been doing that with just the little rotary dial, or from the touch panel, or from the app itself. But now we can automate some of that a little bit more as well, or even scheduling. But we're doing things a little bit different now. So let's assume we've got the scenario on the right-hand side there. Sonos using the alfresco area. We're controlling a Hunter Pacific fan control module. And when the fan is turned on, start playing the queued audio in this space. Okay. Again, the when is really the key part here, because you don't want that to happen all the time. But on Saturday and Sunday, between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m, if I turn the alfresco fan on, I'd like to press the play scene for the alfresco speakers. Because remember, in the Sonos app, you can actually allocate those Sonos speakers to rooms, and then create in the PIXIE environment a way to control just the speakers in that room. Okay, so that's all set up previously, and now we're just kicking off the scene that's activating that only on Saturday and Sunday between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. So I go out there, going to have a drink, turn the fan on. Oh yeah, the music kicks off straight away, or my favorite podcast kicks off straight away as well. All right, so you can see there we've looked at a couple of different scenarios. We've looked at certainly the Mitsubishi Electric and that new integration. We looked at the Hunter Pacific fan module. We looked at Sonos, and there was another one, and I can't remember what it was, but we looked at, we haven't looked at the DAWA stuff because there's probably no way that I can think of right now for the DAWA integration to work with PROGRAMode. But if I come up with something, or somebody else gives it a go and comes up with something, let me know. But really, we're not tracking the state of anything in the DAWA mode. So I don't believe right now that's a possibility. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the presentation that I had to give this evening for PROGRAMode. If there wasn't going to be any other questions, or anybody didn't have any things to ask, maybe I'll just go to this mode. Certainly, you can just scan that and you can go through to the PIXIE YouTube channel. We'll be delivering a lot more content through YouTube. You probably noticed that already if you're watching the PIXIE stuff. But YouTube's really becoming the place where we go. But we'd really love to hear from you about what programs you're doing, even if they're super simple, or if they're really complicated and you've got very, very specific needs, because it just helps other people understand what can be achieved, things that they wouldn't have thought of doing. Maybe like that fan one that I thought of today, or the Mitsubishi Electric one, sitting in the office with the dimmer on and the air conditioning kicks off. Maybe you wouldn't have thought of that. Maybe you would. Maybe you're very experienced with home automation and that kind of stuff. I understand quite often you need the homeowner to say, hey, I want to be able to do this, or you might like to pitch an idea to the homeowner based on specific things that they're trying to do. So please share that with us, whether it's in the Facebook technical support group or in the show notes below. We'll post some stuff up on YouTube in the community section as well, so you can leave any of your information there, or any of the recipes that you come up with for the PIXIE PROGRAMode. I'll just see if there's any other questions, and I might give this iPad one last go and see if we can just do a live example of how the PROGRAMode works. Of course, if you've got PIXIE Plus, you could just jump in there at any time and play with it. You don't have to have anything that you necessarily want to track. You do need master devices in the PIXIE Plus system, otherwise there's nothing there for the PROGRAMode to see and notice. But if you have that and you just want to experiment with it, you can just go and experiment with it, and you can just disable the programs so that they don't run. And that's another cool thing. You can just enable and disable programs at any time. So give me a second. I'm just going to see if I can get this iPad running again or not. And if not, too bad, so sad. But we'll give it another go, and maybe we can just do a live one. If anybody that's watching hasn't been able to get in that yet. Okay, so we'll just get this guy started. I'll enter the studio and see what we're doing. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. It's all a little bit slow. It's all going a little bit clunky, which is interesting, because before we went live, obviously we did some tech tests before we went live, and everything was working perfectly as you'd expect. But it would appear that this does not want to work, because I'm waving my hand in front of the iPad right now, and you guys can't see my hand. So I think it's looks like it's possibly frozen for some reason. No idea why. No, not working. So we'll just move it out. So I apologise for that. Technology's let us down tonight for some reason, and we can't show you that. But Hey, look, I just wanted to say thank you for those of you that have come on board live tonight. Good to see you, and thank you for the questions. If you're watching this as a recording and you've got any questions, put them in the show notes underneath. We'll do our best to answer them. And again, please share any of the notes that you might have, or any of the recipes that you might have that you come up with over time. Keep them coming, and please keep the ideas coming. We've got a whole lot more stuff coming out. September, October, November. We do typically release quite a lot of stuff towards the end of the year. We've got some more software integrations coming. They're quite exciting. Curious to know if you guys are looking for a, I don't know, for example, do you want a black cover for the PIXIE touch panel? Not sure if that's something that you guys are looking for. What kind of products do you want from us next? We've kind of feeling like we're filling a lot of the holes that have been in the PIXIE range since we started with the dimmer and a switch, and we're really trying to do, plug a lot of those holes. And I think the sensors were a really great step towards that. We've got some extra hardware stuff coming later this year, and obviously we just released the non-smart mechs as well, which are really handy if you use those PIXIE ambience plates, so you can just do standard mechs on the plates. I know, is there one thing that you'd like to get from us specifically that we don't do right now? I think a lot of PIXIE success has been as a result of people like you in the marketplace adopting it and using it, but then giving us feedback and saying, hey, we really need to be able to do this. We'd really like to be able to do this. And can we have this function? Can we do that function? So we really depend on that feedback from the market to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the market for the price point and the value that we're providing. You can even tell us what you think we should integrate with next. Obviously, more air conditioning systems is on the horizon, and certainly probably one of the most asked for requests is that we do more air conditioning systems. Again, we started with Mitsubishi Electric, and we'll get to some more later. If this one gets used and it's a success, I really think it'll be great because it's got a lot of functionality. But hey, maybe people don't end up using it. Who knows? Okay, so look, we're at 47 minutes. We're only scheduled for 60 minutes. So I appreciate you guys coming on today that have been here. And for watching all the way through. If you're on YouTube, that PowerPoint presentation or that slides presentation, it's a Google slide presentation, is also available on pixiepartners.com.au in the download section. There's a little section there where we have all of our Google slide technical presentations. You can go there and you can watch that at any time and go through it again if you're moving too fast for you tonight because the iPad camera wasn't working appropriately. So you can certainly get that there at any time, and we'll put a link down below to that as well in the recorded session. So that's kind of me done for the night. Thank you again for stopping by. For listening to us and for providing some comments. Oh, there's another comment here. Alarm integration would be great from Antonio with a code pad. Okay, wanting to be able to a code pad on the PIXIE Plus app or a hardware code pad. I'm assuming you're thinking a software code pad on the app or on the touch panel. They can then integrate to the alarm. Antonio, that's probably be what you're thinking, I reckon. But we'll put it on the list. We'll talk to the engineers. Obviously we already integrate with some alarm systems that we do that through what's called dry contact or volt-free systems with both the PIXIE blind signal controller and the PIXIE translator using dry contact inputs and outputs to receive messages from a security system and take an action in the PIXIE system, or send a volt-free signal to the security system that we want to arm or disarm or do something to the security system. So obviously you can do that right now, but I understand why you want a code pad. So you have to put in a PIN number before you can actually take any action in the alarm system. So yeah, understand what you're looking for. Okay. So hey, thank you again, everybody. This will go up, I think, straight away on YouTube. So if you wanted to watch it again, hey, go for your life. I think it'll be up on YouTube straight away. I believe it gets posted on Facebook right away as well. This is, like I said, our first one. Seeing what happens next once it's all out there is all part of that process for us as well. Depending on how this one's received, we may plan to do more in the future, but we just wanted to put it out there and make sure that if anybody had any questions, they had an opportunity to ask. If they were considering PIXIE and they weren't sure how it would fit into their home or their solution, or if they hadn't yet started to use PIXIE as an electrician, any of the questions they might have had. So thank you again. Thanks for popping by. Nice to see you, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to end the broadcast now.